What do you think? What was your interpretation of the press conference yesterday, Rick, last night?
Yeah, the last question, or the last response he had was sort of it can be interpreted a lot of different ways, right? I mean, he has told a lot of people that he truly is undecided about what's going to happen with his career, where he would go, if he will play, all those things. And yet, I think he understood, too, that this may be the last time he's in front of us. And, the one thing about Tom is, we've talked about this, for a guy that's an international superstar in terms of an athlete and celebrity quarterback and all that, he's really done a nice job. He has a lot of humility. And I think he did want to convey that, so far the time he has spent, I mean, look, he retired a year ago and he came back, so who the hell knows, but that he has enjoyed, his time in Tampa. But it felt the whole day, Rich, I mean, at the end of the game, I think the thing that struck me, maybe more so than what he said on the podium, was, we were down there when the game ended, and I've never seen his mom and dad kind of go on to the, not the playing service or the field, but just, outside the tunnel there as he was coming off on the turf side. And, he stopped and gave them a hug and a kiss. And I've never seen him out there before. And then on their way out of the stadium, his mom was choking back tears. And it struck me as, do they know, that maybe that's the last game he plays? So there's just all this sort of mystery going on. And legitimately, it's going to be a daily watch, right, to see if and when Tom makes a decision. And I don't think it'll be for some time. I think the mistake he knows he made a year ago was rushing it and coming out. Actually, the news came out before he was ready, but announcing on February 1st that he was retiring. And that won't happen this time. And I'm sure you have plenty of questions about, well, if he plays where, and we can get to that. But it felt to me like, if it wasn't goodbye, it was so long for now. I mean, it just didn't sit right.
Well, I mean, just the way that the season went in Tampa, you get the sense, Rick, that his time in Tampa's through, that it's run its course. I mean, it was in a remarkable first season, obviously, and then last season wound up finishing shy of what they had all hoped, and then this year was born out of who knows what, right? With a change in coaching as well, where Arians steps away, and that could be a 30 for 30 in itself. What happened between February 1st and then the time where Brady decided to return and Arians decided to retire. But I just get the sense that with the play calling as it was, and the running game wasn't there, and the protection up front clearly. Injuries had something to do with it. It just was off. It was off all year. When I saw in Munich, that was as good as it got maybe all year, that game in Germany. And I just get the sense that might be a farewell to Tampa, to me, Rick.
Well, it could be, and you can interpret it that way, I suppose. I would say this, and you make a good point almost from the beginning. And look, you can't divorce yourself, and I use that term coincidentally, from the personal problems he underwent. I mean, this is a guy who came to camp, and 2 days into camp, he finds out or is informed or it's confirmed to him that he's getting a divorce. And then he leaves camp for 10 days. And even the most prepared quarterback in the world doesn't prepare that way, right? And so now we saw the emotional strain. We saw the weight loss. We saw the 3-5 start and him at his locker for 25 minutes after the Ravens game. The next day the divorce was final. Those are real things, right? Those are real, complex issues he's dealing with emotionally. And while the team, second day of training camp loses his starting center, so many things are happening around him. This was never a football team that really had the stability in terms of its offensive line and other key places. They lose Shaq Barrett. That was going to really be a Super Bowl contender. Everybody says that if you have Tom Brady, you just assume that's the case, but it was never the case. And then, without a running game, he goes out and he throws it 600 and, or 30 something or 730 something times. He eclipses last year's mark. So all of that kind of piled up on him. And I talked to Clyde Christensen the other day, and he said, playing quarterback in this league is hard for anybody, right? It's one of the hardest jobs you could do. He goes, but imagine, you're running a marathon, and every couple miles somebody puts another weight belt on you, and then they put, some lead shoes, and then they put on. And he said, he was carrying all these different layers of weight throughout the season, and he kind of dragged them into the playoffs. With the 4 or 5 fourth quarter comebacks, it was a heavy lift for him at age 45 with all that's going on. I don't think he blames the Bucs for any of this. In fact, and this might surprise you, until yesterday, and I still don't really know anything, but I think, there's a lot of guys in this building, and even people that are close to Tom outside of this building, that say, listen, don't underestimate his relationship with the Glazer family, his gratitude towards them, everything they have given him, anything he has wanted, the front office and their response to him, living in Florida. He has made it work, not living full-time with his 3 children for an entire season by living here. Davis Islands has an executive airport 2 blocks away from his house. His kids fly in, he picks them up. It's worked, and he loves his teammates. And so to think you're going to go somewhere else out west, for 1 year, he's year to year now, learn a whole new system, a new place to live, new coaches. It doesn't seem as likely in some regards as just, hey, let's fix this. Let's try to fix this. We need offensive linemen. What can we do to get better? How can I be better? All of that. Maybe we won't have the year of injuries that we had. So I was, kind of being led to believe that, look, don't discount Tampa Bay simply because of where he's at in his life and football. And so we'll see if he does play first, and then he's going to have a lot of opportunities. We know that. But there's a lot of personal reasons that this works for him. It didn't work this season, and we've kind of talked about that, but it still could work.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.